Hi, and thanks for joining me today. My name is Caryn Dugan, and I am coming to you from the Center for Plant-Based Living right here in downtown Kirkwood, Missouri. Today, I am sharing with you my Grillable Veg Burger. I know, how many times have you gone out and ordered the black bean burger or the vegetarian burger or whatever's on the menu, and you've just been disappointed because it either fell apart or it was too mushy or it didn't have flavor? Oh, okay, so today I'm going to teach you how to make a burger that stands up to the grill that has a ton of flavor, okay? And I'm going to give you 3 pointers that you can use for any burger, and you're going to rock that veg burger every time. Let's get started. All right, so to start, I'm going to cut this onion, throw it in my pan, and I'm not using any oil either. So let's start talking about that. I don't use any oil because per tablespoon, just a little bit, that is 100% fat, 14 grams of fat, and 0 fiber. So, and I'm a big geek about fiber. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But first we want to get our onion onto our skillet. We want a hot skillet, and that shouldn't take long on this induction oven or induction cooktop. And you think, well, if you're gonna saute something, Caryn, how are you gonna do that without any oil? Good question. And it's a lot easier than you think. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you know it, you can't unknow it, and you will love this. Okay, so we've taken off the skin on our onion. We're gonna give it, I'm cutting this about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch apart, these little slices. And I'm gonna get in here twice. Watch your hands, watch those fingers. And we've got a nice, probably a large dice here. Now there's so much water in vegetables that they will shrink down. I'm sure you've done your fair share of cooking onions. Give that a couple more little cuts in there. We'll do the same thing to this guy. Just do 1 slice in there because that's not quite as large. Okay. All right, so a little bit of science first. When you have a regular skillet and any kind of cookware, whatever, the molecules on the surface of that pan are not doing anything, okay? They're stable. Now, when you add heat to the bottom of that pan, the molecules on the surface of the pan start to shake and shimmy and dance and talk to one another. Now, we can't see this with the naked eye, but we know this is what happens when heat is applied. So, as we bring the heat up, the molecules on the surface of your pan start to gyrate even more, faster, faster, faster. They also begin to expand and contract, expand and contract, expand and contract, expand and contract, very, very fast. So if you just put if you're starting with onions in a recipe, if you just put your onions or your vegetables on that pan, as it is increasing in heat, the molecules are expanding and contracting. They will hold on to that food and it'll start to stick. So that's why we add oil, to create that buffer between the pan and the food, right? So what else does that oil do? Aside from adding fat and calories that we may not want, it also creates a buffer between your taste buds and the food. So you can't really taste the full flavor of the food. So what we're doing here is we're going to do a water test, again, because we cannot see really what's happening here with the naked eye. Bring your pan up to high heat to a point where all of the molecules are talking, gyrating, dancing around at the very same time, creating an even cooking surface. I know this is a lot. How can we tell if we can't see it? You add just a little bit of water, just a teaspoon, tablespoon. And if the water starts to dance around in the pan and not sizzle up, then you know you have an even cooking surface. And that's exactly what I have. It is just moving around like a little amoeba on my pan, and it is not evaporating quickly at all, okay? So that's what I have here. That's exactly what I want. I have an even cooking surface. So what I'm gonna do now is add in, you can hear it, add in our onions. Now here's the thing. This is a lesson in mindful cooking, okay? So I'm not gonna walk away from this pan. I'm not gonna go feed the cat. I'm not gonna do the laundry. I'm not gonna check my email. I'm going to keep everything moving in the pan, okay? And I'm also gonna pull the temperature down right now to a medium high. We do not want to sear our vegetables. Now the pan is still pretty hot because I just turned it down, so it takes a minute for that temperature to come down. And if you start to see a little bit of browning on your pan, that's totally fine, and it's actually favorable. So what you're gonna do is always keep a little bit of water off to the side and, you know, a little ramekin or a bowl or whatever you have. And we're gonna lift that browning off the surface of the pan just by adding a teaspoon or so of water. That's it. Move everything around in your pan. Now what you've done here is you've added more flavor to your onions already because you have deglazed the bottom of that pan. That beautiful browning that was there just came right up, and now we're folding it into the onions. I'll pull my heat up just a little bit. And they've become brown, and they're cooking very, very nicely. Now also, as we said, there's a lot of water in plants. So once you start to add heat to these plants, your vegetables, that water starts to seep out, and that's exactly what you want. So we're gonna let that cook for just a few minutes. And remember, I'm not walking away from it because oil will not evaporate. There will always be a little bit of oil in there. It's your safety net, right? Water, or anything water-based like a broth, will evaporate, and you can burn that sucker. So really, see all this steam that's coming up? We're just losing water out of the pan, which is fine, which is good because it's cooking. But you just want to make sure that you keep an eye on it so that you don't lose track of it. Okay, now over here, this is, I think I have a tablespoon and a half, two tablespoons, that's right. 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed. Now in burgers or anything that you really want to keep together, like little meatballs or a roast or anything like that. So we're making burgers today. You want to have enough binders, okay? And eggs are a great binder. But because this is a plant-based burger or a vegan burger, whatever you'd like to say, we are not using any animal products, including eggs. So what we're going to do here is make a flax egg. This is ground flaxseed. When you add a little bit of water to ground flaxseed, it becomes very gelatinous, just like an egg. And then you mix that into your burger mix, and that helps everything really stick together, really bind together. So add some water to your ground flax. You can buy it ground or you can grind it yourself. And you never want to eat just full flax seeds because our bodies are not strong enough to break them down, so you just pass them through. And flax has a ton of fiber in it. And I am a big fan of fiber. So just like this becomes very gelatinous, you can see this, it's really thick and gelatinous. This is what happens in your colon. So it soaks up any toxins, any extra hormones. Toxins meaning, gosh, it could be anything. Food from yesterday, prescription medicines, over-the-counter medications. You know, did you have a Coca-Cola? Did you whatever, it doesn't matter. Anything that's in your system that your body has already used. Now we want to soak it up with fiber and push it out. And that's exactly what this flax is doing. This will really help keep you regular. Wink, wink. That's what we want. Okay, we've got our onions nice and brown. Golden, I should say. They're golden. They're not quite brown yet. Now what I'm going to do is add just a little bit more water because we were chatting. And so really, I mean, you don't want to add too much. Now I don't do a water saute or a broth saute because I have found that really just dissipates the flavors. So when I need to deglaze the pan, you just want to add a little bit of water or a little bit of broth just to really get down in there, get that browning, and pull it up into the food. Essentially, we really want to get most of the water out of those onions, right? So you don't want to add too much liquid in there. Now these are pretty well cooked. What you can do is, if you like a caramelized onion, who doesn't like a caramelized onion, right? Take a little bit of salt, and just when you think that there's no more liquid or no more moisture in those onions, give them a little bit of salt. That will show you that there is still just a little bit more liquid in there. Move it around and they will start to glisten again. Now what's happening here is you are further pulling out every single little bit of liquid in that onion and really condensing those sugars, creating a nice yum caramelization that we all love. All right, that is beautiful. Okay, we've got some nice flax here going, our little flax egg. We've got nice caramelized-ish onions. I think what I'm going to do now is just turn this heat off, and then we'll keep going with our burger. All right, set this off to the side. Now, okay, so looking at our instructions, we've combined the flax and water into a small bowl. We've let that sit for a few minutes. We have our onion, and everything is cooked up. Now we're going to add oats to our food processor. I have whole rolled oats, so not completely unprocessed oat because I didn't pull it up out of the ground, but it really does have all of the nutrients still intact. Now I don't want that for the burger because we really need to break it down a little bit so that it can soak up the rest of the ingredients, because oats are also a binder. So now we have two binders so far. We have the flax egg and the oats. Now I have 2 cups of oats here, and this is an 11-cup KitchenAid food processor, which I love, by the way. I have one here at the shop and one at home. I love it so much. I've been through a few of them, not this kind, just shopping around and using other food processors. This is the best one I've found by far. Okay, just gonna pulse it. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Okay, now we've broken them down just a little bit. We don't want those overly processed oats where they've taken out all of the nutrients, you know, those 5-minute oats. No thanks. All right, so now we have this, right? Now we're going to add 3 cups or 2 14-ounce cans of black beans. And I've rinsed them, or I've drained them and then rinsed them off. So, you know, you don't always have to get low sodium or organic or whatever. Organic's a different story, but if you can't find a low sodium, no big deal. I mean, I just always rinse my beans off anyway. So, okay, so we're gonna add in all of the beans. And then we're going to add in just and the flax mixture. Now, if it's really thick, just kind of, you know, pick off pieces and put it all around your mixture, just to get that flax really in there. Okay, now we don't want this pasty, but we do want it well integrated. So we'll just give it some more pulses. All right, now we're also going to add in the onions. Oh, they smell so good. Okay. All right, yeah. Oh, wow, that looks great. Okay, so we have everything really well mixed in there. And by the way, we have 3 binders now, okay? So the beans are a binder as well. So we have beans, oats, and our flax egg. And I'm using gloves now because I really like to get in there with my hands. I haven't found many kitchen tools that are really just as good as these 2 guys right here. Okay, so we have everything from our food processor. Now we're going to add in, want to make sure I get this right, yep, the tomato paste, avocado, and spices. Okay, we're going to add in this whole 6-ounce can. Now let's talk about what makes a great burger, okay? First of all, it is binders. So binders are beans, oats, and of course a flax egg, okay? And we have all 3 of those. Other binders could be potatoes, so you could do a sweet potato in here, cooked sweet potato, cooked russet potato, any kind of potato is a great binder as well. Quinoa can sometimes be a good binder, but that's really more for texture. And beans, you know, it doesn't have to be a black bean. A really great binder is a chickpea, because if you think about how dense that is, that makes a really good binder as well. And those are great if you're gonna make like a lighter colored burger, like almost a Mediterranean burger. So think about that when you're making these burgers. Now, so those are your binders. Now, one thing to help get everything, now that is to keep everything binded together. Another great way to get everything bound together, not mushy and not fall apart, is to refrigerate your mix. I know that sounds silly, but I'm telling you, it really is something that not a whole lot of people do. Once we make this mixture, I'm gonna put it into the refrigerator for a few hours. You can even make the mixture at night. You can leave it in the refrigerator for 24 hours. You can make the mixture in the morning, come home from work or school or whatever and make your burgers, doesn't matter. But the longer they sit in the refrigerator, the more they will, the better off they will stick together. It's that temperature change. I'm telling you, please keep it in the refrigerator for several hours before you cook these things. And then another way to get your burgers to stick together and not fall apart is fat. Now, I don't use any oil, and I don't use a whole lot of fat in my cooking, but when I do use foods that have a higher ratio of fat, nuts, seeds, avocados, I don't use too much of it because we don't need too much of fat in our diet, but we definitely need it, right? This is not a fat-free way of eating, I promise you. Now, if a burger if it starts to crumble, chances are it doesn't have enough fat in it to hold the moisture. So there is some moisture that needs to happen, right? Because you need everything to stick together. What I have found is using one full avocado in this entire mixture makes a world of difference. So that's what we're gonna do also. Now, let's talk about flavor for a second. Flavor, flavor, flavor. Beans don't have a whole lot of flavor. Oats don't have a whole lot of flavor. Flax, no thanks, no flavor. And if you're using a russet potato, probably not a whole lot of flavor in your burger. Oh, rice is also a good binder, by the way. Not a whole lot of flavor. These burgers, any veg burger, And really, if you think about it, any beef burger is going to have a whole lot of flavor in it, right? People are always adding spices, spices, spices. This is no exception. Please just be very heavy-handed in your spices. So today I'm calling it a grillable steak burger because I'm using steak seasoning. That's it, all right? So I'm using a Mitchell Street steak seasoning from Penzeys, and this is the end of it, so I'm using it all. Got to get some more of that. Then I'm also going to use their Barbecue of America's barbecue seasoning. It's been sitting out. Got to loosen that guy up. Okay. And a little bit of garlic and onion. Now we have a lot of, you have 2 cans. You have 2 cans of beans in here and 2 cups of flax. No, 2 cups of oats. So you've got a lot going on here, you know? I mean, you got to really spice this guy up. Now I'm going to add just a little bit more salt, not too much. And I'm also going to add, as I just said, an avocado. And I just got this one, and I looked for the most ripe one I could, but I'm going to have to work with it a little bit. That's all right. Again, that's what your hands are for. And we're going to use this whole guy. Yeah, using gloves really is the way to go, I'll tell you. And now you could add some smoked paprika would be good in here. And maybe some roasted red peppers or red pepper flakes if you wanted a little bit more heat. Totally up to you. Make this burger yours. I just wanted you to really get the 3 secrets to making a burger. You apply that and you can spice it up any way you want. Okay, so I'm getting in here, really getting in here. Now once I massage all these ingredients together, really mix them up, get them well integrated, get them knowing each other, I'm going to taste it and then adjust the flavors as I see fit. Maybe, maybe it will need a little spice. Maybe I will put a little bit of heat in there. But I will probably add some of this cracked pepper for a little bit of a kick. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. And you'll want to do this for about 3 minutes or so. Just really get in there with your hands. Now after you do this and you don't see any oats without any coating, that's really what you're looking for. You don't want any of those white oats. You want everything to be pretty, you want it to almost look like ground beef, right? Get everything really just mixed in well. Got some bits of avocado, which is not the worst thing in the world. Yum, yum. Okay, so what you're looking for here is if you pick up a piece or a part of that mixture and it starts to stick together, then you're good, okay? So taste it for flavor and adjust it however you'd like, and then cover it and put it in the fridge. And that's really where part of the magic happens. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to, actually I'll just do that right now, taste it for flavor, and then I'm gonna stick it in the fridge. Oh, that's really good. The tomato with the steak seasonings in there. Wow. Yeah, that's really fantastic. And what I'm going to do here is just really want to add a little bit of kick from the freshly ground pepper. Okay, so I'm going to put this into the refrigerator, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about fries, because we're doing burger and fries today, folks. I know, it's so exciting. All right, be right back. All right, let's talk fries. How are you going to have a burger without fries, right? Okay, so I've got these, you can use any size, but I've got these little baby russets that I have scrubbed clean. And I've cut some already, and I have them dunked in this water just so that they don't oxidize. Now, you can either cut your fries, I'm cutting them kind of in thick steak size. You can cut them just with your knife. Or I also have this, and this is just from Amazon, I have this Wavy waffle cutter. And this is what you do. So you just take your fry, or you take your potato, and I'll do one with my knife and one with this. Just cut on the side. Gotta use some oomph, right? Just cut off just an end. Now you have a flat-ish surface, and go all the way around. Go all the way around. Now you're gonna cut about, or you're gonna slice about, maybe about anywhere between about a third of an inch in. Okay, now you have this little guy in the middle, and just cut him in half, and then in half again. And then if you want, I mean, now you have these really thick guys, right? You can leave those, or you can keep cutting until you just get smaller fries. And then these first guys that you cut, just give those a half, just a half. Okay, so we've got those all cut up. Now with the knife, it's the very same thing. So you're gonna take your knife and cut off about, I'm gonna say a ½ inch all the way around, a ½ inch all the way around. And then just cut that guy in the middle in half, and maybe in half again if you so choose. So you're just, it's a lot easier than you may suspect. It's pretty easy to cut these little taters. Okay, so that's probably something that you're not too wowed about, right? And then put them in your water if you're not completely ready to cook them. Now this is an air fryer recipe. There are instructions for just a regular oven as well in your recipes. But here's the thing. This is the secret. This is the wow, okay? This is why we came today. We're going to boil the potatoes after they've been cut. You're going to boil them in water, just barely salted water, with a little bit of apple cider vinegar for 10 minutes, and 10 minutes only. Here's what happens. The acid from the acid from the apple cider vinegar will keep the outside of the potato intact. So it doesn't allow the pectin, which is on the outside of the potato, to dissolve. So you have potatoes, you have fries that don't mush down in the fryer or the air fryer or in the oven. So that's what we're going to do now. I have hot water here, and it's at a really slow boil, but it's heating up. Okay, and you know what, while we have just a minute, I'm going to, because we've got a slow boil, we want to get to a real rolling boil. I'm going to cut this guy up too, because he's our last one. And then I'm going to add the apple cider vinegar. Okay, cut. I love these waffle fries. And if they're not exact, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And then after they cook for 10 minutes, and really just like 10 minutes, then I'm going to add some seasoning, and then we're going to pop them in the air fryer. So it happens pretty quickly. Okay. So we've got everybody really well cut up. Actually, I'm going to cut up this one too. Okay, done. And we've got all of that business going. Now I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon to 4 quarts of water. We've got a nice boil. Add in all of our potatoes. Let me get rid of this water. Okay. Add in our potatoes. I'm going to set a 10-minute now probably 9-minute and 30-second timer, and then we'll be back. Okay, at the 10-minute mark, I strained our potatoes out of our boiling pot, and this is what I have. Not one of them have broken. So yay for that vinegar. And I did give one a little test. No trace of the vinegar in there, just in case you were wondering. So that's great. All right, I'm going to put all of our potatoes, all of our fries into this bowl, and they're still a little wet, so the seasoning will stick just fine. And the seasoning, you could either do no seasoning, you can do just a little bit of S&P, salt and pepper. You can do whatever you want, but I have a little bit of garlic, what do I get? Garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. This is smoked paprika, pinch of salt and pepper, and I'm just gonna shake it all up. You could also put this into like a Ziploc bag, like a shake and bake. Remember that from the 80s, huh? Showing my age. All right, now to an air fryer, I'm going to just do one layer at a time. So I'm probably gonna have 2 batches here, and I'm gonna set my air fryer at 400 degrees for 17 minutes. Now, again, your air fryer could be a little different, but I would go pretty high, 400 degrees or so, and look at it after about 15 and see what you think. And we'll be back. Now back to our burger. Our mixture has been in the refrigerator for several hours now. You can see our bowl is nice and frosty. And boy, that mix is not going anywhere, right? It is solid. Now, we're just gonna pick off about almost a softball size, and well, what you can do is roll it in your hands if you want, and then just mash it. I like to do about 2.5 inches in diameter and maybe about an inch and a half thickness burger. You can make, you can make little meatballs out of these. You can make sliders, you can make burgers. I'm making burgers just because I have so much here. Nice little patties, and then put a little indentation with your thumb in the middle, and that'll help warm them all the way through evenly. I'm gonna patty up all of these burgers and then put them in a 375 oven for 22 minutes, but I'm going to flip them at the 11-minute mark. And then we'll be back with burger and fries. Okay, we're finally ready, and wow, does this shop smell great. We have our fries ready, and I pulled them out, let's see, the recipe says 15 to 17. I pulled them out at about 14, 15 minutes just because they started to really look pretty brown to me. So just play around with your air fryer or your oven, whichever you're using. And the burgers smell great, they look great, they're a little bit darker, which is just what we wanted. Now these are, I'm telling you, they're called a grillable burger because you can't just stick them on the grill. They're still steaming, so like most burgers, veg burgers at least, they're going to be a little soft when they come out of the oven or off of the grill or off of the stovetop, however you're cooking them. There's 3 different directions in your recipe, and that's okay because they will firm up as they cool down. Now I'm telling you, and they really stick together now because of the refrigeration that we did on the front end. And I mean, this is not crumbling, this is so solid, and this is still even considered soft. But it's so solid for a veg burger straight out of the oven. So it's really gonna just firm up, not become too hard, but just really have a really good texture. So I think that you'll really enjoy these little guys. All right, so now we have our whole grain bun. Yes, and I'll just take that one burger that I was handling, and I have a nice tomato, some greens, some red onion, some ketchup, and a little bit, you know, I'm a purist, ketchup and mustard. That's all we need. Or maybe a little bit of mustard. I don't know if there's, oh yeah, there we go. There's some in there. All right. And then, oh man, these fries. Actually, I'm going to take a hotter one because this just opened up. Look, I mean, look at these fries. And not one of them split open. They're fully intact. They're crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, straight out of your air fryer or your oven. This is burger and fries the good way. Yep, I'm telling you. All right, I hope that you enjoy this just as much as I'm about to. And eat well. And enjoy it. Take good care. I'll see you next time.